this room today to listen to this lecture. As a teacher, I intend to challenge us with some thoughts to enable us process very pertinent issues confronting the smooth and uninterrupted production of cocoa in Ghana. So questions will be thrown at you, and you may have to answer them. As has been said, there's no doubt that cocoa remains one of the most popular crops in Ghana and the world over. This is as a result of the fact that it's been the backbone of Ghana's economy since the 1870s and contributes about 30% of the country's export earnings. This year, cocoa in Ghana was forecast to contribute about $454 million to the country's GDP. And I'm sure this value was measured in 2020 with a base rate of $375 million. Additionally, cocoa is expected to account for about $533 million of Ghana's GDP by 2025. In terms of actual production figures, the 2020-2021 crop season, 884 metric tons of cocoa beans were produced in Ghana, second in the world to Cote d'Ivoire, whose production level stands at over 2 million metric tons. And this is to the credit of Doris Dukua Sesu, May 13, 2022. Now, I find the topic for the 2022 Cocoa Day celebration very appropriate. Cocobod at 75, sustaining our environment, wealth, and health. This is because of the varied issues of climate change, diseases, and food scarcity threatening the group generally. Since the crop, cocoa, has become the mainstay of the country's economy, it's my plea, and a very serious one, that we discuss issues dispassionately and in the larger interests of the future of our dear nation, Ghana. This is a plea, an appeal to all of us. Very dispassionate discussions. Because the truth is the truth, and we cannot run away from the truth. Personally, my exposure to cocoa production dates several years back, and as has been said, since my primary school education at Cocoa Research Institute Primary School, Hakim Tafu. Coincidentally, both parents, father and mother, worked at the then Cocoa Service Division of Cocobod. Additionally, I grew up to become a cocoa farmer and sustained my secondary and university education through proceeds from the sale of cocoa beans. At that time, Ghana's cocoa was well noted for its quality. See, I'm sure it is so this time too. Indeed, I never realized at that time the importance of Ghana's cocoa in world cocoa trade until I got to Japan in 1987 for my master's and PhD. Now, in Japan, the name Ghana is connected to chocolate because there is a particular popular brand of chocolate called Ghana. Indeed, at that time, some Japanese, I'm sure even now, didn't know that there was a country called Ghana. So whenever you mention Ghana, they thought that was a chocolate. The Ghana chocolate brand in Japan is respected because the beans are imported from Ghana and highly trusted because of its unparalleled quality and flavor. That is how far Ghana's cocoa has gotten to. Every Valentine's Day in Japan has been declared a chocolate day, where ladies, not men, Please listen to the model very well. Where ladies present chocolates to men as expression of love. So every Valentine's Day, every single lady in the country is supposed to present chocolate to a man in her life. A man. The bigger the chocolate, and that is true, the bigger the chocolate, the bigger the love. So on a Valentine's Day, when you're going home with your chocolates, that's exactly what your wife is going to. She's going to sort out the bigger ones and leave the smaller ones, because the bigger ones will now point to something else. In May, there's something they call the White Day. That is when the men reciprocate. I think that model we're having here was adopted from Japan, but not entirely. Obviously, at that time, the Ghana chocolate was the most preferred and cherished one. So if indeed you presented Ghana chocolate, then it means your love is also very, very deep. Now we come to our cocoa industry. We've gone through a very long journey, as we've heard. Now, the history of this country indicates that clearly the cocoa industry dates to the 19th century. And as you've heard, this was when an illustrious son of the land brought few pots of cocoa to start a commercial farming activity. Soon, this venture became an industry that has served as the backbone of the country for a very, very long time. Strategically, a regulator was created to nurture and grow the cocoa sector to become a formidable entity. 75 years, 1947 to 2002, has gone under the bridge so quickly, and we must celebrate such a huge success. And I'm sure that's what the Honorable Minister said. It's worth celebrating. Now, Ghana Cocobod, through its subsidiaries, that is Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana, the Seed Production Division, Cocoa Health and Extension Division, the Quality Control Company, and Cocoa Marketing Company, sustained the golden hen that lays the golden eggs for Ghana. But there are a few highlights that we have to know, and a few benefits from the cocoa journey. The first is the establishment of institutions that have sustained the industry. For those of us who do not know, development of new and improved varieties for shorter gestation, high yields, disease resistance. If you were born during the cocoa stolen shoot days, you know what I'm talking about. Proper management of the stolen shoot disease, which occurred in 1938, and other insect pests and diseases that have troubled the cocoa industry since its establishment. Many families and communities have been built at the back of the cocoa industry. Towns and cities that have cocoa farms witness decent living environments and experience appreciable wealth and health through vibrant trading around the cocoa business. I mentioned the trust schools, which saw rapid secondary education in many cocoa growing communities. Now, this support by the cocoa industry benefited especially my own university, University of Ghana, which saw the Kwafo Hall built by Cocobod. We thank you very much. The establishment of Cocoa Scholarship Scheme by Cocobod, then Cocoa Marketing Board, CMB, saw many leaders of today attend secondary school and further education overseas. In fact, Cocobod Scholarship at that time was one of the best and important scholarships. We cannot forget the contribution of cocoa to road construction in Ghana. Many rural communities were opened because of feeder roads and urban roads construction across many cocoa-growing regions of the country. The banking sector has had its fair share of the cocoa industry. Rural branches of these banks thrive mainly on the business of cocoa. The annual cocoa loan syndication is a masterpiece which has always helped stabilize foreign exchange fluctuations and make available foreign currency to the central bank. Many farmer livelihood programs have been introduced to help sustain cocoa farmers. And just as was said, recently a living income differential was introduced to help cushion farmers against the financial turbulence on the world market. Now, value addition is a critical area spelled out in the cocoa industry regulations, the PNDC Law 81, with respect to cocoa processing. As early as 1964, Ghana saw its first cocoa processing company, which helped in value addition as Ghana was able to manufacture its own chocolate. Cocobod thus creates a resilient cocoa economy that has sustained millions of Ghanaians over centuries. As indicated earlier on, due to time constraints, my intention this morning is to raise pressing issues that will help us process some of the needed strategic measures we need to adopt as a nation. For me, the basic questions we need to answer are: 1, how do we manage to regain our #1 spots on the League of World Cocoa Producing Countries? And our man from Cote d'Ivoire is here. We have to regain that spot. And I think that's our target. And the second question is, how do we preserve our environment to ensure that we maintain our cocoa production momentum to enable us to have sustained wealth creation and good health? We cannot run away from the fact that we have allowed the exploitation of gold and other minerals to destroy our environment and taken away from us the future of the nation in terms of sustained agriculture, especially the plantation crops, which obviously includes cocoa. How long will it take us to reclaim the destroyed lands to secure the future of our unborn generations? Walk around. It's just an eyesore, but we have allowed it. What kind of future are we creating for ourselves? Now, if you are not careful, I'm not a prophet of doom, but we will soon lose all arable lands and make the nation over-dependent on food imports to sustain our food security concerns. Genuinely, how I wished that would have given the president the fullest support to put an end to the galamsey issues that are bedeviling the nation currently. The reason I said we need to discuss these issues dispassionately, because the future of our nation depends on our ability or inability to end this unfortunate process. Personally, I find it very difficult to understand why, as a nation, we cannot be united to fight evils that threaten the future of our dear country. Wherever you go, they protect, and I can cite Japan. They protect their nations. Because those coming, or those yet unborn, they think will have to live better than those who are living now. So they prepare the grounds for them. Go and look at their river bodies. Even China, their river bodies, their afforestation programs, very neat waters, Yet we have searched for all these to go on. And it's very sad to see the rate of land degradation that is taking place in this country. Now, how will generations yet unborn survive in this country? Now, ask yourself. Obviously, we need to do something as a nation to curb the unwarranted destruction of our lands and treasured environment. Otherwise, we are at risk of even breathing. And I'm very serious about this. If you drive along or through the country as I do, as much as I do, you'll understand what I mean. These days, when our chocolates go out, look for all those things. Presence of heavy metals and others. And it's quite difficult for us to pass. Very difficult. Because of the mercury people are using. Because of the nature of our water bodies. Unpolluted water is also a matter of great concern. Polluted water bodies, destroyed aquatic lives, as well as shrinking size of our water pathways are matters that may cost us so much as a nation. Now, how do we ensure that we have enough unpolluted water for crop irrigation and agricultural production? Somebody's experience. 6,000 catfish within 1 week, all gone because of the type of water he used. Now, are we waiting for the time that as a nation we may have to import water for drinking and irrigation of agri crops? Are we waiting for that time? And I think somewhere last week, I'm sure the MD or something of Ghana Water gave a warning. So treatment of water is becoming extremely difficult. Now, if we decide to continue behaving the way we're doing, I have no doubt that very soon, very, very soon, large volumes of water will have to be imported for agri and domestic use. And that is also another problem. So I'm sure I'm talking to somebody. The third one, the CEO, has to do with investment in cocoa research. I'm happy you noted that I chaired Cocoa Research Institute for 4 years. Now, if we want to progress and go beyond our current production capacity and overtake our friends from Côte d'Ivoire, then apart from the environmental concerns raised, we ought to place high premium on research into cocoa technologies to ensure that we assume a leading role in cocoa research and innovations. Know that all needed early and high-yielding varieties, issues of insect pests and disease management, agronomic management issues, etc., are things we inherit from good quality research. So CEO was telling me in the room, when we started, it took us 7 years to have our cocoa pots. But now, luckily, we have varieties that will take us just about 3-4 years. I'm sure we have even shorter ones. We are looking for a time that at least 1 year you start harvesting your cocoa. But all this will be made possible if we decide to invest. I think private investors must be encouraged to invest in cocoa value addition. I'm sure you've addressed that, CEO. And this is very, very, very necessary. Of course, when there's value addition, we process our cocoa. At least the farmers are also assured of good monies for their pockets, farm gate prices, And that encourages people to get into cocoa production. We need to devise local content models that will encourage Ghanaians to invest in cocoa product manufacturing. Now we keep importing fertilizers. This is something very serious. Pesticides and other farm implements for our farming activities. Mr. Chairman, can we change this narrative? Is it possible to change this narrative? So as we speak today, I've asked someone to meet the Minister of Energy to make a proposal on how we can produce our fertilizers locally. We have the capacity to do it. Seriously, we do. When you go to Atuabo, all that wing sits empty. We have the capacity to do it. But it's not being done. So we have to change the narrative. And it must be done now.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe,
and click on the bell for more updates.